Good day to you. On today's episode, first we have breaking news. Apparently, just came in over the wires. Pete Rose's lifetime ban has been lifted. He is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. Heard that first from me. Anyway, episode 133, May 13th. Let's dive in. We got milk, we got NFL schedules, we got Pope news. We have it all. Let's dive in. The first topic of the day. My goodness, milk. Everybody's drinking milk again. That's the tagline. So perhaps no beverage conjures up the idea of a wholesome, corn-fed Americana, like a tall, a tall, cold glass of milk. You might even call it the white picket fence of the dinner table. Yet, despite its cozy connotations, I didn't realize this, milk drinking has been on the decline for decades. Between 1975 and 2024, so just last year, the country's per capita milk consumption dropped by 47%. That's a significant drop, right? It appears to be more than just a slump, right? But a steady drift toward cultural obsolescence. Milk! Goodness gracious. But it looks like as everything changes, everybody makes a run. It looks like milk's half-century decline may be over, showing some signs of reversal. Last year, Americans consumed 1.9% more cow's milk. Doesn't sound like a lot. That's 1.9% more than they did in 2023. But that equates to 40 million more gallons for domestic drinkers. It was the beverage's first year-over-year sales increase since 2009 and only the second since 1975. So before we get into why there might be this upswing, and the answer is, like all answers are, TikTok, it looks like this trend is even more compelling because we have a rise in lactose-free milk and whole milk. Both are up quite a bit too, so both ends of the spectrum, right? You have that movement towards like a more wholesome, realistic, real milk, and then you have the lactose-free milk. Both are up, 12.3% and 4%. So what's going on here? Well, I will tell you what's going on, and it shouldn't surprise you much because if you look back at the ads, the TV ads that made milk what it is today, there's always been a weird relationship between milk and the advertising industry. 1950s, you had a TV commercial from the American Dairy Association. Also, money, lobbyists. There are very few industries with deeper pockets than agriculture, and especially milk, oil, and medicine. That is your lobbyists. So anyway, the Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet featured the show's characters imploring their audiences to quote unquote join us in a glass now. I don't know how real that is, but it's kind of a weird sentence. But anyway, and millennials and younger Gen Xers, will remember the Got Milk campaign of the 1990s and 2000s, which reimagined the era's swoon-worthiest stars, from Naomi Campbell to Britney Spears, and their milk mustachioed centerfolds. So what's going on is this. We have a lot more options, too. So what is also behind the increase in milk consumption is the fact that we have so many freaking types of milk. Not only are we talking about the non-dairy options, but we have a plethora of other options, and especially this is now coming into the fold with this big protein, right? This macho man, not really macho man, but this movement towards daily increases of protein, right? And so there are very few substances more natural than milk, and milk has a lot of protein per grams, right? Milk is a high protein drink. So Americans like more protein, and there's more of a movement towards healthier beverage options, right? There's a backlash. We're finally at the point where we're really backlashing against the terrible sodas and high sugar energy drinks, and we're kind of back to like water, coffee, tea, milk, right? There's part of that, right? And then, of course, this would not be a story that I'd be talking about. Apparently, all food trends can trace their origins, can trace the bumps to TikTok. There's been a new slew of pro-milk mantle peoples who are pushing the idea of drinking a lot of milk as an OG superfood. The fact that it hydrates better than water. And so time will tell. But I was interested one for the fact that milk had a huge decline, and now we're starting to maybe get more of a increase in milk consumption. So we shall see. We shall see. Let's talk a little bit about schedules. Everybody's favorite topic is schedules, right? The NFL schedule is a huge deal, mostly because it is the schedule for the biggest, most popular sports avenue in America. I don't say world because you know me better than that, guys. You know soccer is the true global sport. Anyway, America and football go hand in hand, right? America and milk, right? This goes really well with our first topic. So you probably, if you didn't think this through fully, it makes sense that the scheduling process, the 272 regular season games, they're not random, right? They are the unique combination of machine and man and the unique marrying of both those instruments. And so for 2 decades, there's been an individual. His last name is Katz. His first name I probably deleted. I'll get to that later. Anyway, Mr. Katz, K-A-T-Z, he's been at the center of each year's NFL schedule. Coaches and networks both lobby him for perks and complain about grievances. He is the unknown planner behind every NFL fan's Sunday spectacular. So the schedule process spans from January to May, right? It takes a lot of time. He's 75. The last schedule, which will be unveiled tomorrow, Wednesday, will be his last. He's been doing this since 2003. So, he has a big job, right? Because in 2023, the league began an 11-season media rights agreement with Amazon Prime Video, ESPN, NBC, Fox, CBS, Netflix, Peacock. So he has to, and now we're going to have YouTube. Apparently there's going to be Google's YouTube has emerged as a favorite to stream its first NFL game this season. We shall see Wednesday if they do indeed get that. So in the schedule making room, Katz's biggest impact was meshing team needs with broadcast desires, which used to be just like CBS, NBC, Fox. But the list above, it really just goes to show you that every streaming service is desperate to get their hands on some of that sweet NFL money. When he started this process, he used 1 or 2 computers. Apparently now, according to the article, there are anywhere from 200 to 300 computers involved. Right? So what are they doing? How are they making the schedule? Well, the team trains the computers to think the way they do, inputting rules to reflect their wants. For example, they input a rule to avoid a 3-game road trip, and the computer formulates schedules that follow the criteria as closely as possible. Then Katz evaluates the computer's suggestions, highlights the positives, inputs new rules to correct the negatives, and begins the process again. So, process, iteration, metamorphosis, right? But it still boils down to human input. A human, Mr. Katz, he is literally signing off on the master schedule once they are on the 11,000th iteration of this, when all the rules have been inputted and everything is as smoothly and as seamlessly as a schedule this gargantuan. Although compared to baseball, this is nothing, by the way. That's a different topic for a different day. But anyway, so still human input. I love that. There's international games. There's holidays. NFL draft can play a role. It's no secret that Dallas Cowboys, other teams seem to have more games in prime time. That is a calculation based on the fact that humans have decided that certain teams are more deserving of more primetime slots. So once again, that's a computer rule. It's got to be inputted. He has to list the 8 teams he wants to see more in primetime. Always seems to be the Cowboys, despite them not being relevant for 25 years. He also receives personal requests. I didn't realize this. Teams asking to schedule around weddings, bar mitzvahs, or previously planned vacations of all things, right? There are hurdles like avoiding overlaps with certain cities, MLB home games, concerts. One of Mr. Katz's greatest, he was asked what some of the things that he thinks are really important and special, and he says that during the COVID season, despite moving one game to a Wednesday from a Monday, they had 0 cancellations. So he was pretty pleased. He considers that his most remarkable accomplishment. And changes will happen, right? Commissioner Roger Goodell wants to move to an 18-game season, which will further complicate it. What they would probably do is they would add another bye week, and so there'd be 20 weeks of scheduled football, each team getting 2 bye weeks. So, anyway, we shall see Wednesday the fruits of his labor for the very last time. Hopefully, he left a very detailed handbook on what he's been doing the last 20 years. And we have, quote unquote, a real buffet in our hands for the 272 matchups this year. So, for all my football fans out there, it's going to be fun. Let's go with two little 3A and 3B, because I have some great stories that I'm going to say for tomorrow. The world of sports betting, it can feel very spiritual at times, and bettors have literally taken that to heart when it comes to Leo, our Chicago native who's been to a World Series game. How cool is it that a Pope has been to a World Series game? Villanova graduate, right? So the future bets on the Cubs, Bears, and Wildcats, those are the teams he's most associated with, although the Cubs are not the White Sox, interestingly enough, but the Bears are Chicago's only football team, and the Wildcats are obviously mentioning that's Villanova, that's a Philadelphia college. They've all surged in the days and hours after the Pope's been named. Not to be outdone, trading cards. You know this would not be a Three Things with Ian without talk of trading cards. So Leo's first Topps card set a sales record. So yes, Topps now is a derivative of the Topps trading card company, and they do like special releases when events happen. So when Shohei Ohtani became part of the 50-50 club, that's a baseball stat, they did the series of cards. When Paul Skeens he's an NFL pitcher, MLB pitcher, when he had his first couple starts, they released some special edition cards for that. For the Olympics and so on and so forth. So they're called instant release sports cards. And they pre-sold 133,000 copies of Pope Leo's card. And there'll be different versions. There'll be one of ones. They'll be numbered to 50, 100, 500, different refractors, different prisms, all that garbage. His print run exceeds the number for recent LeBron James and for Victor Wembanyama. So, yes, Pope Leo is a sports icon already. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. We talked about milk. We talked about the Pope and NFL scheduling. And tomorrow, I'm going to give you a little teaser. We're going to talk Mount Everest. I have always had a fascination with Mount Everest and the climbers behind it and just everything involving that. So look for that tomorrow. I'm going to let you go. I got soccer practice soon. Cheers. Good night. Happy listening. Take care, guys. Bye.